Hello, everyone. I hope you are doing very well this week. So it's another week with Neurodivergent Business Consortium's webinar. As usual, we will talk about neurodiversity and many of the topics that we are covering currently. I do apologize today that we don't have our guest speaker as she became off sick. So we will talk about neurodivergent individual problems today. We were uh, we were talking about building resilience in the workplace. Sorry for my echo. So we will talk about building resilience in the workplace, and it is very important for us to talk about it. As a neurodivergent person, we have many problems that we need to tackle, and as well as when we work, if we don't deal with the workplace properly, we had incur problems, and that makes our life a hell. So today we will talk about building resilience in the workplace, and I just wanted to ask our audience if you wanted to join this conversation and webinar as a guest, please feel free to message me through the comment box. I will then can add you to the webinar, and we can talk about building resilience in the workplace. It is a very tentative matters, and we should talk about it. Without talking about building resilience in workplace, will not improve our work-life balance as well as work engagement and a lot of many things. So we will talk about building resilience in workplace. We had a guest, but she cannot attend today's webinar as she became off sick. So if from our audience you wanted to join me to the webinar and talk about it, please feel free to contact me, DM me through the LinkedIn or other social media. I will share you the joining link and you can join. So when we talk about building resilience in workplace, there are many things that we should consider when we wanted to build a fruitful team and a successful work in progress. So why it is important, and what do you know by building resilience in workplace? We can talk about it initially. And if you wanted to ask me any question, please feel free to ask me. I will try to answer your questions from my experience and from my expertise and working life. So if you wanted to join this webinar as a guest, please feel free to contact me or DM me. I will try to include you and share you the code to join and talk about building resilience in workplace. So what is resilience? What do you mean by that? So, as a neurodivergent individuals, we have many strengths and as well as weaknesses. And when we talk about our weaknesses in the workplace, people usually don't see it in a normal way because we have talent. And when you have a talent, when you are a talented person, and you discuss with your weaknesses, people don't take it normally because it's a normal stereotype that you are a talented person and you don't have any basic needs. And that is the problem in many workplace. Yes, we are talking about it, and it is improving every day. And that's why this webinar is to talk to you, to let you know the struggle we have when we are in the workplace, and how we can deal with it, as well as how we can create a better working environment. If I share my experiences with you, I work as an academic, I work in businesses, I work for many organizations to support them with business development, and as well as my other business, the marketing and software development. So when I work with them, individual businesses, I also face struggles, and I also faced problems. And when I know how to deal with it, that gave me strength, that gave me success. But some of the instances, if I don't know how to deal with the um, problems in workplace, that time I really struggle. And here we talk about all of those things, that how you can improve uh, working environment and support each other. You probably are not a neurotypical person. You might have some neurodivergent colleagues, and how you can create a supporting mechanism for your neurodivergent colleagues and as well as your workplace to understand them and give them the right support they need. That is very important. A neurodivergent person, if I talk in detail, we have many strengths that is our sometimes the people say that it's a superpower, and we also have some needs. These needs sometimes you cannot see in bare eyes. When we work with us, some people they might need proofreading, some people they might need guidance, some people they need different type of support, and that's why um, uh, we are neurodivergent, because we have a strong characteristics and a strong intelligence, and as well as we have some basic needs that those, if we fulfill those needs, we can be very productive and we can support individuals and make the work successful. So um, if we talk about why it is important, because in a workplace you have neurodivergent people, you have disabled people, less able people, and you have the neurotypical people. And if you don't have a cohesion in workplace, it's difficult. It's the work environment can be different for individuals. And as a neurodivergent person and working with neurodivergent community, we see that there is a huge drop when someone join in a workforce, and the retention of the work on their work is totally different. And when we support individuals to their workplace or to their businesses, we talk about it. We talk about team member. We talk to the team members. We talk to the directors. We talk to the CEOs or HR managers or many individuals in the workplace. That okay, this is the person, and he's excellent or she's excellent, and she got this strength, and this is their weaknesses. So if we wanted to get uh, a work balance, if you wanted to get support their needs, you need to consider what they cannot do. So if you are, and sometimes some workplaces, they even don't know how they would support those individuals. So they are being diverted to those works they cannot do. And that makes their life hell, and they cannot work over there anymore. And there is a common characteristics that neurodivergent people, they will not tell you directly, and they will hesitate to tell you that they don't like it, or they have special needs and so on. So uh, I just have a message from Robbie Basai, Rab Basai. Thank you very much, Rab. With an organization, one-to-one or team session. Hello, Rob. Thank you very much for your message. And if you wanted to join me to the webinar, please let me know. I can share you the details, and we can talk about it. You have a very nice and questions, and we can talk about it. And if you wanted to join, I can share you the code. Please let me know, and we can talk about it, because there is a lot of lots to talk about it, because it's a huge problem in the workplace currently, in nationally and internationally. And if we don't talk about it, our employer or corporations or SMEs, they will not know how they can improve their mechanism, how they can improve um, uh, to support individuals. So we can talk about it. I just wanted to, if you wanted to join, please let me know. I can share you the link and we can talk about it. Just give me a second. And to our audience, you are watching today Building Resilience in Workplace. And our our guest became off sick and she could not join. So I have to do it alone. If any of you wanted to join the conversation, please uh, feel free to ask me, and I can share you the joining link. It's just one straightforward joining through a restream. You just click and join, and we can have a nice conversation. So, Rob, thank you very much for your question. So sometimes, when we work into the workplace, it is difficult to understand without a neurodivergent person involving to a specific task. Uh, why? Because a neurodivergent person can understand other neurodivergent person, because if you are an autistic, you can understand the common terms of autistic people. If you are other neurodivergent spectrum, you can understand them very well. So I can. We do not see that many workplace they have individual neurodivergent HR manager or neurodivergent director or neurodivergent manager to look after neurodivergent people or disabled people. We have not a neurotypical person to look after our community, and that's time it's a problem, because when you are a neurotypical person, if you don't have enough training and if you don't have sympathy and empathy, uh, it's difficult for anyone to get proper treatment, anyone to get proper support. So we are in conversation with many businesses, SMEs, corporation, that okay, when you are dealing with a problem, you have to have a specific person uh, from the community, from that community, to deal with their problems. Yesterday, I was watching a BBC News, and there was a blind and those people, they have limited eyesight. So they were doing an exhibition, exhibitions, and the person was dealing with it. He was blind. So when you have person specifically engaged from that community, you know the struggle of this community, and then you can improvise the capacity of that work, and that will work. But if you don't, that will not work. So it's different for individual and individual purposes. When you have to deal with a neurodivergent population, you have to engage a neurodivergent person to support this community, and then you can have proper work balance with neurotypical person and neurodivergent person. And Rob, I have already shared you the joining link, so please feel free to join. And I'm waiting for you, and we can talk about it more on how we can support work-life balance, how we can support neurodivergent. So I will share the code again to Rob. I think he's having some technical difficulties. Rob, if you are watching a webinar, it's just one click. You don't need to add your channels. If you don't want it to, we just write your name and join from a website or mobile app. It's just a straightforward joining. So please feel free to ask me any questions if you wanted to regarding today rebuilding resilience in workflows. And we are talking about it and how we can improve building resilience in workplace. And it is very important when we uh, work in specifically and we don't have support there. So we have Rob there. So thank you very much, Rob. I can see you and you are added added to the stage. Thank you very much. If this happens with neurodivergent person, as you know, that sometimes we become agitated, sometimes we need support. So when we deal with neurodivergent person, we have to uh, um, understand them properly, that what they like, what it is like, what their mood is at that current states, and how we can improve the work balance with them, with neurotypical persons. So Rob, thank you very much. Could you please introduce our audience about you, what you do, and we can start our conversation. Thank you for joining this webinar.
Thank you for having me on the stage. I'm getting confused because I've got two sessions going and I'm not sure what's happening. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can hear you okay. So what we are talking about today is building resilience in workplace. So how we can support neurotypical, neurodivergent person and disabled person to the workplace, and what how you we can do it. You have greater experiences working in big corporation. You have your own incubation and a lot of different things. So we can talk about it. How you see this, like how important it is to building resilience in workplace for people with disability and people with neurodiversity.
One of the questions I had, and it's like if you know a problem,
Mhm.
sometimes you'll be told there's a problem. So with
Mhm.
neurodivergence, there is a certain skill set about recognizing um, issues that might come up. So my real thought about this is, when you're doing diversity, for example, you can see the difference.
Mhm.
With this sort of situation, how do you detect that someone isn't keeping up or how do you detect the problem? That's where I was trying to understand what are the techniques you can use to
Mhm.
understand where you do need to provide support.
Yeah, understand. I totally agree with you, Arab. And that's the problem because when I was talking earlier, uh, if you see workplace, sometimes some big corporation they can address this issue very well. As we know, if you talk about big corporation, they have hundreds of employees, so they can hire someone from the neurodivergent community to look after neurodivergent people. That's very good. But when you talk about SMEs, they have limited resources and they don't have that knowledge. One thing. Another thing, they don't feel that they need to hire someone to look after their neurodivergent employee. And that time is the struggle. So when I'm working with council, when I'm working with individual businesses or individual person to support them with work, it's different. And they burst into tears that, okay, I'm in a workplace and I'm not happy. And there is a problem because when you are in a workplace, you are not happy. And in this country, if you are not in the workplace, the benefits and other it's struggles. It's always a struggle. So you have seen many businesses so far. So what, in your opinion, how we can make it better for SMEs? If you particularly talk about SME.
I think one of the things that I'd say for SMEs and also in public services like charities and so forth,
Mhm.
um, you've got to make sure people recognize what happens when things aren't recognized, if you see
Mhm.
what I mean.
Yeah.
So essentially, I'll give you an example. So when I was working in a team, I always had a member of the team who was very quiet, right?
Mhm.
You'd hold meetings, you'd hold webinars, team meetings or Zoom meetings, and they were very quiet. But when you spoke to them one to one, they were very bright, right? So and then I got to understand that he had certain challenges about public speaking or talking. He just found it very noisy. Don't remember the condition he had, but he just found very noisy in a group but individually he was really good at expressing himself.
Hmm.
Okay. And I think that's what I was asking here is, are there techniques as, unless you're looking for it, you don't know
Hmm.
it's there. So, you being who I'd go to and say, look, how can I do a quick study of my teams in an SME, especially because everyone's going to pull together in the same direction? How do you understand if someone's being argumentative or they just have a neurodivergent, divergent issue that I need to help them with?
I agree with you, but when we talk to individuals, one thing they mostly they say that okay, they don't understand our feelings. That's one thing. The first thing, okay, they think that we are faking. There's another thing. And these are the common thing that okay, they don't understand our feelings, they think that we are faking. Sometimes I am by myself, I am intelligent, I know that, but when I talk to people and with my one stereotyping that okay, I am intelligent, I am a scientist, and then when I talk to them, okay, I have specific needs, like okay, I'm dyslexic, so I will definitely will not write properly. And then what they see in different level, you can see their eyes. Oh, how come you get PhD if you are a dyslexic and you can't write these things? And that time I feel agitated. Like okay, they don't know this very well because you know your talent and your needs is two different things, isn't it? Because talent and needs they can be measured together, because needs is your needs and talent is your talent. So if you are a talented, if you are a scientist, that's different than your needs. So in that circumstances, I'm not sure you are a neurotypical person or you are a neurodivergent. If you are a neurotypical person, how do you see this?
Good point. I mean, I have a son who's been recently diagnosed as ADHD, and until he knew he was that, he wasn't able to cope with it and to communicate clearly. So, this is the approach I'm trying to understand is if you know you have a particular trait or a particular way of doing things, and you describe it really well. Talent and needs. Talent is what you become by overcoming what your limitations were. And your needs are how you promote that better within the group or better. And what I think, an SME, and I've seen a few of them, they don't realize the capital they have in these people. My son, like I said, he's a deputy
Mhm.
head of a science team, and he's really progressed well. But it's only recently that he realized and started to blame that for a lot of activities and blame that for a lot of things in his past. And I think one of the things I tried to do and to understand with him is, was it because he had to work harder he's now feeling a bit sorry, or is it something else? And I think that's if you can help me with, if I'm running a workspace, an SME, I've got to make money, I've got to make the business move fast. Um, are there things that, I mean, are there assessments, exercises, or anything I can do with my team to help understand their special needs or the key needs? Special is the wrong word. The key needs.
Mhm. I totally agree with you. And as I work for individuals as well. So when we ask them, you talk about private and public. We talk about private and public, specifically when we talk about public sectors organizations. Are there enough people there to support neurodivergent individuals? No, there aren't. Even if you talk about access to work, you probably know about access to work. um, are there those people they are supporting neurodivergent people? They are neurodivergent. Maybe most of them are not. But then, how come you assess neurodivergent people and get them proper awarding while they are supporting? Because probably most of the audience today, they don't know that if you are a neurodivergent person, you can have access to work grant, because this is a government scheme. But when you know that, and then when you try to access them, there's a different story. it takes like 6 months to a year to get your needs and everything sorted in place. So those people, they are dealing with it, and the people they are suffering, there isn't any bridge in between, and that's the problem kick in. So if I give an example, if I am hired in a workplace and I have special needs, and those needs are not supported by the workplace or access to work, I cannot retain my work because it takes 6 months to a year to get my support and everything done. So the workplace, they will not pay me until I get this sorted. So at the end, most of these things, they don't go through. So they have to leave the work because nothing is in place. So as an individuals, what should we do in that instance? Because you're working with many individuals, so I would request you to introduce yourself to our audience. They will know your capacity, as well as we can talk about more. Rob, to you.
Absolutely no problem at all. So yeah, I forgot to introduce myself. So I'm Rab Bassi. Um, After many years of working technology and with people, I've now redubbed myself as a locksmith. So essentially, I really like helping people unlock their talents as a coach or an executive coach, but I also like helping businesses unlock their technology to become, you know, more proficient and more efficient. I've had a very blessed life in the fact I've worked with a lot of people, a lot of teams globally. And from that perspective, you know, I can resonate with some of what you're saying, but I think what would help me to put in maybe some of the audience here is neurodivergence. What does it look like?
Mhm.
I've experienced it in different ways, and I really would like to see your, you know, you mentioned about someone getting a gainful employment, not being supported by the business. You know, just to help me orientate, it might be worth sharing for me anyway, what couple of examples what that could look like.
Yeah. So one thing, as you are a technologist, and we can talk about it. Like when individual, they have technology needs, neurodivergent person. So if I talk about me myself, so when I join in a workplace, I need a PC computer. I have other physical disabilities, so I someone has to read my letters. I need that in place. I need some technology to support me in writing, spelling mistakes, sentence, and others. That's another needs. So and as well as some other needs for maybe a chair, maybe the table I'm using, that has to be different, and a lot of individual elements to it. So if I'm joining to a workplace, I hesitate to let them know that I have disability and I'm neurodivergent, because I have seen with my experiences that most of the cases, if I tell them that, they find other candidates because they don't want it to go into this hassle. Because first of things, I don't blame them. One thing, they don't have the knowledge. Second thing, they don't have the time. Third thing, they don't have the funding to do it. So either way, neurodivergent population, if we wanted to get them to workplace, we need this to be taken care of. So as you're working individual person and neurotypical person, how do you see for a workplace, or how would you suggest to the businesses you working uh, to taking care of these individual categories?
So one of my guidance would be is to tell them or remind them that some of the greatest talent they have or they can get is from the most unexpected resources. Okay, so two things to what you just said. If someone's neurodivergent and they need assistance and need help, whether it's whichever ability they need support for, I'd ask them to be honest and straight.
Mhm.
Okay, because you know you go through the interview process, you go into the process, and then you come out the other side, you get an offer, and at that point, especially at that point, explain to them what you need and support. I think it's
Mhm.
very common that people don't declare that up front because then they affect it feels, yeah, they affect their interview process or their process for going for that job. Okay. Now,
And yeah, please go on.
no, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. So, and I think one of the things that I always tell people is, certainly in businesses, I remind them that when they were struggling, when they were doing 23 hours a day or whatever, they might have been called a bit obsessive. Okay. So from the perspective of recognizing that and helping the business to understand how to that. I mean, I've got some exercises and coaching that I do that
Mhm,
helps unlock the skills as a leader or the skills of an individual. I was wondering if there is something you can ask um, business to say, look, perform this analysis across your teams, not just because sometimes it's not obvious
mhm,
across your team to get an appreciation of how people like to be communicated with. Neurodivergence require different sort of communications. I accept that, and I think everyone accepts that. But some people, and you're right, everyone's busy, everyone doesn't think that. But I think in general, in the heart of people, if they understand there's a challenge, they want to help. So,
mhm.
and the second problem is, which is out of their hands, is the grants, is the support they can get for it. But I think if a corporate applies for it or if a individual applies for it, um, it makes you know the more people apply for it, the more it raises up the ladder, like you said with the BBC.
I totally agree with you, Rob. It depends how you're dealing with it. We just have a message from Elizabeth uh, Graney. So thank you very much for sharing your thoughts. So she just wrote that access to work is a real struggle, and you can see her message as well. So as I told you before, that yes, it is a real struggle. So when you have public sector organization to support you or individual businesses, so you can apply access to work grants through as a self-employed, or you are working for any organization, or you are working for your own organization. So I have been through this process, and the process is not straightforward. We don't, we don't understand the struggles. We don't understand a lot of different things they talk about because we see things differently. We are logical and we see things in a logical way. So when we have to go through with individuals. So if someone asks me, I can share one of my experiences with PIP. I had a brain tumor surgery in 2009, and it left me disability that cannot be seen with bare eyes, but I have disabilities. When I applied for the PIP, they asked me questions and I answered them directly. And they said, okay, you don't need support. That's the things I learned from the systematic error that I made in my lifetime, now supporting individuals that, okay, you don't need to tell what you are able to do in particular time, but you need to tell them what you aren't able to do and the highest of that effects. So I wasn't ready. So most of the neurodivergent person, if you ask them, do you want to eat a banana? They will say yes or no, yes or no, I don't like it. But when they go to a job interview, they will ask them, okay, can you tell me, do you want to eat a banana? They will say yes or no. But the interviewer, they might expecting different answers. So this is the problem. So if I'm an interviewer, I'm supporting neurodivergent person, I knew how I can ask them. Then I would get the answer from them. But if I'm not, I don't know that. And this is similar for anyone they are working with neurodivergent person. If they are not trained and they are not neurodivergent itself, is a great mess. And we need to improve from there. So to our viewers, thank you very much for your time today. We had Jo O'Neill's, uh, and she could not join due to her sickness. And we have now Rabasai, and we are talking how we can improve work, how we can have built resilience in workplace, and that is very important for anyone. Um, you are working in a workplace and you are doing your own business, you have to have a resilience in workplace. You need to know your colleague, you need to know what support they need. If they don't need support, or you also need to know that, because unless you cannot make it happen, you cannot make a great worker experiences and other things. To our viewers, if you wanted to ask us any question or you wanted to express your thoughts, please feel free to contact, write to the comment box, and we will answer them directly. And we have Rav, and I'm Dr. Shah Siddiqui, and we will continue our conversation. So, in relation with organization challenges, because you have greater experience working with organizations and in different levels, what do you think is the main struggle there? Why don't they include a neurodivergent person or a disabled person to their workforce to sort these categories?
I think more and more people are being accepted into the workforce, whether at the senior level. I may agree with you,
Mhm.
but I think can I add one more thought about what you said earlier about the PIP application?
Please, please.
My wife is also challenged health-wise, and we were doing a PIP application for her.
Mhm.
But it's what you said. You really need to be understanding what the questions are they're asking and
Mhm.
what the answer should be giving. So it's like almost being coached or guided on how to fill a PIP form. No one who's sick wants to admit they're sick,
Mhm.
right? I always find that unless your leg's falling off, you probably want to go, yeah, no, I'll cope with that, not a problem. So when you're filling in those forms, and we did it for my wife, it was like, yeah, can you do this? Yeah, but only so far. Can you do this? Yeah, but only so far. Because we were saying yes, the answer was not qualifying every time we said yes.
Yes.
So you made a really good point, is you do need guidance. And, I think it's one of the conversations you should provide, or support you should provide, is understanding how to answer these government forms, because they are not designed to be clear English or supportive. They're meant to be checkboxing. If you meet criteria, yes, you go to the next stage. If you don't, then you're out, right? So brilliant point on the PIP. Uh, and neurodivergent, I'd say most CEOs I know are neurodivergent. They're crazy, right? But that's a whole different thing. Um, so I think neurodivergency is coming out more and more as the diagnosis is more clearer, right? And I
Mhm.
think, so I don't want to disrespect anyone who says, well, um, I'm not getting a post, I'm not getting this. I think everyone has a different personality trait. Everyone has a different quality. And in senior leadership, um, if you think about the pandemic, I worked in a massive organization
Mhm.
that wanted people in the office, right? They're paying for real estate. They want people in the office, and they don't believe you're working unless you're sitting in front of them on that desk.
Mhm.
That attitude had to change. And we went through a whole lot of shifts in paradigms to get that done. I think, and when it happened, productivity went up, right?
Mhm.
Things were positive. There was negative as well, but there was positive in general. I think that's the thing with neurodiversity. I really believe that um, if it's not severe, like the one you were describing with your brain tumor,
Mhm.
um, you got to embrace it. You got to tell people. You got to tell your HR team. I think your people team, or whatever the title they have, because they are responsible for making sure you're heard, right?
Mhm.
And I think that's the only way you can do it. To be honest, is unless you're clear about what support you need, the normality of people in senior leadership is I'm driving the business objective forward. Unless someone tells me, puts
Mhm.
a hand up and says, I need help keep up with you, or I need help to move faster. They just don't understand it.
I totally agree with you, Rob. One thing that I wanted to point for the Elizabeth, she expressed her deep, struggle that she left her corporate jobs, and this is not only her. I know many people, they cannot continue their corporate job. So when I started this conversation today in the morning, I told the audience, yes, this is the normal thing, that people, they cannot cope with it because the system and the systematic approach to deal with us is not right. It's not really right. Because why? It's not right because we don't see it right. And as you said, when you fill the forms, they're not designed for us. They are designed for maybe, I don't know who. If there are other categories, they are suffering the same that we are. when the government, when the public organization, they will make it right, because it's cannot happening again and again. Elizabeth, she left her job. She's struggling with access to work funding, and she wanted to employ her daughter, joining her business, and there will be another struggle, because they don't see it individually. They will say, okay, you have a business, this is your daughter, and it's different. I understood it properly with my cases, and many other cases as well. So when we can make it better, how we can make it better, that's the question. So to our audience, if you wanted to share your experiences today, please feel free to contact, write through the comment box. And if you have any question for Rab, feel free to ask him. He get tons of experiences within his fields in technology and others. And technology is another key things that we need to talk about when it comes neurodiversity, because we can enhance our work, specifically neurodiversity and individual neurodivergent capacity with technology. So we will talk about it a little bit more on that, Rob. Uh, you know, when we all talk about resilience in workplace, technology enhancement, and dealing with AI and other things. Now, a lot of assistive technology are out there, which wasn't in place when I was young. Now I can see it can transform people, and access to work, or public sector organizations, or corporation, I would say big corporation, rather, apart from the SMEs, they will support you with this. And there's sometimes you will struggle, sometimes you will wait, and sometimes if you don't get support, it can be challenging. So in terms of, I just got another a remark from Elizabeth. I just wanted to show you that remarks in on the comment box. Sometimes we just don't know what support is available either, um, and nor do these that should be supporting us. That's another great question, Rob. Um, is a common thing. As you are sufferer with your wife, we don't know what support are out there. Can you can we talk about this first, rather then jump to the technology?
So
How do you know that, okay, the right support is out there and I can access this support?
you don't. The only way we found out what support was out there is by going to group where similar people were having similar issues,
Mhm,
right? And that's where they were able to share, well, you can get this support, or you might try this, or you could try that. And that's where the PIP came up, right? So
mhm,
I think, the best thing I'd say is that you need to look around in your area, or even larger, look for groups that
mhm,
have similar um, ailments or similar challenges. That's probably a
mhm,
better word. Um, and to go into a little bit more in that, I can see where, Elizabeth's talking about leaving the job, starting her own business up. I think the pandemic has changed what the requirements for a job is. Remote working at your pace, at your level of focus. Sometimes, companies are quite supportive of that. More jobs have hybrid environments.
mhm.
Maybe that would help her. But more companies are looking for non-full-time employees, but outsourcing, or what I would call local sourcing, um, work out there. So no, I think Elizabeth's got a great challenge in front of her, but also great opportunity.
I agree with you. As I'm agreeing most of your remarks here, Rob, you're a great person to talk to, and to our audience. Thank you very much sharing your thoughts. And I got another question, another experiences remarks from Lauren, and Lauren just mentioned that she's talking to her HR and she doesn't know what support does she needs, and that's a struggle, because when we work with individuals, Lauren, to you, if you are still on the conversation, feel free to contact me or any other people they are working with access to work, or dealing with this kind of situation, because your HR, they might not know what support you need, but as a neurodivergent individual myself and work with many neurodivergent person, I can support you to tailor your specific needs, ask you the specific questions that I know that question will bring answer, and that answer will aid you when you are working. So with my work, if you're working for a HR, you know that they don't need to pay for this. You can get all the support from Access to Work, and Access to Work will pay them directly, or the support you are taking from organization like us or many other organizations are out there. So they don't need to spend that much for you. So if you are struggling, if any of our audience, if you are struggling, feel free to contact me or DM me or any other organization. They are supporting Access to Work funding, as well as supporting training and other things to the workplace. So this is the struggle, Rob. I would say that we know that, okay, as you said, that okay, we can do yes, and that yes will a negative things for your application, because we are truthful. We know that we can do it, yes, in a way, but you shouldn't write that yes, because you are not. Because what we do to our audience, that when you're writing Access to Work or any other PIP or application, you need to consider that the worst case scenario that you cannot do. You cannot do in that instances. If you think that okay, um, uh, my grip is not good, I have shakiness, and I cannot hold things, but most of the time I cannot, sometimes I do. So if I write that sometimes I do, most of the time I don't, they will take it as a yes, because yeah, you can do. So it's similar to any other application. So if you are doing Access to Work or any other application, you need to think about carefully what you should let them know, what actual support you should need, because the support could be, you think that it will cost them couple of thousands. It doesn't matter. You are eligible to get Access to Work. I think they will support with you up to £60,000 per year. Doesn't matter how much you earn. They have a threshold as well, that you need to earn that threshold money to get Access to Work funding. So they can be given to you directly, or the supporting organization, or the organization you're working. So that's the way you can get it. So if you wanted to know more, please feel free to contact a person. They can deal with it properly, and then it will streamline, because when the support is in place, it takes 6 months to a year to get things sorted, and then you have to repeat it or you have to renew it otherwise. So if we go to our conversation to the um, digital tech, as you are an expert, how we can improve our productivity if I am a neurodivergent person or disabled person, involving your talent or involving your digital know-how.
I think if I was, it's a hard one, because I often go to businesses who don't understand what they have got, right? So let me give you an example. If I was to say to you, I presume you use Office, you've got Word, you've got the other products.
Mhm.
Yeah. How many of them do you use? Let's just try this exercise and see how it gets on.
If I using words, I will use Words, Excel, and the email one, Outlook.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you think?
So probably sometimes if I'm doing some Gantt chart and others, maybe I will use sometimes, not always, maybe when I'm doing a new project that time. But otherwise, these three things I always use.
Okay, so the challenge I always have with businesses is to tell them that um, no, you're using three products, and most people list at six or around that sort of thing, and they start drawing up. You get 30 applications,
Mhm.
right, in the Teams thing. And I know companies that bought something else to do something similar or whatever.
Mhm.
The point I was trying to make was sometimes you can only apply a technology if you know what the need is.
Mhm.
Okay. So if I, and that's probably a very incorrect way of looking at this, but my thought was this. You asked the question is, how do you know what technology is available to you
Mhm.
right? To help you, help your, help you go forward, right?
Mhm.
Now, everyone goes to AI, natural lead. This is great. Well, AI is the latest buzzword. And I think there is a saying that, yes, AI can help, but it really depends what the need is. Now, if I
Mhm.
go back a few years, Google, right? When Google hit the market, people used to spend days just searching for something.
Mhm.
And they got more and more aware of how to do it, and they streamlined their questions. So now they didn't have to read 5 pages of search results. They got it in the first page. A
Mhm.
lot of other things came into this. If you needed additional support, I think, and that's a good point. I'm going to have to see if I can publish something to you to make,
Mhm.
to maybe you can share with the team, with the community here. There are some software that is designed to be more supportive, right?
Mhm.
Everyone knows the accessibility in Windows or the Mac, where
Mhm.
as you hover your mouse across the screen, it enlarges, magnifies,
Mhm.
right? There's the right click text to speech function on most browsers now, on most Word applications. So if you're not sure about it, read
Mhm.
it out. Okay. Now, one of the things I was really stunned with and how well it works is I'm a terrible writer. I'm going
Mhm.
to be borderline dyslexic, right?
Mhm.
I'm not, but it is like I can type things and they look all right to me no matter how many times I see it, but I don't know if this makes sense. What I've gone into the practice of when I write my Word document, write my report or whatever, I right hand click and read it aloud. And because you've got now two senses working, your eyes, your
Mhm.
ears, you can hear when something sounds right, it doesn't sound right, you go, up, let me correct that. So there
Mhm.
are techniques with existing tools you've got that can make it easier. All right. And it's, I think from maybe what we can do is work together and find out what the needs are, what you were talking
Mhm.
about earlier. Then I can see if there are any things that people can just use because they're there and people have forgotten that they're there.
That's right. That's right, Rob. Thank you. Thank you for your brilliant solutions. And we struggle with that. As Lauren mentioned on her remarks, that we don't know what we should have, because we don't see our disability in that way. And this is right for most of the disabled and neurodivergent population, that uh, we don't see our capacity in a way that will hinder our capacity. Like, okay, I'm great in critical mathematics. So if you ask me to for some small, there's some reasoning mathematics, like, okay, can you tell me 300 or 400 equal to 350 or plus or minus? I will struggle with the number, because I cannot take many numbers on my brain. I can only take maybe 1 or 2 units uh, that is needed for me to concentrate. But if you give me a critical mathematics, and I will learn it, and on the next half an hour I will give you a right answer. Okay, this is the critical mathematics, algebra, or some other scientific mathematics. I can do that. So people will stereotype me. Okay, you cannot calculate, or you cannot add or subtract. How come we trust you? How come you are this talented? So they will think that, okay, I got this education, I got this um, until this one. Uh, just what I would say, maybe not doing it itself, or maybe getting help from other people, achieving success or PhD or something like that. This has to be changed. This has to be changed, because when we talk about working place and other things, our viewers, you probably agree with me that yes, if you are a neurodivergent person, if you are a disabled person, yes, you have a specific disability, but you have some needs, and that needs cannot be you match with your talent. That needs cannot be matched what you can do. That needs cannot be matched with anything else. We have to stop stereotyping. So today we have Rob, and I'm Dr. Star Siddiqui, and you are watching our live webinar, Building Resilience in Workplace. We have covered a lot of individual topics today, and thank you to all of our audience. And we have many audience that watching our webinar. We run this webinar every week on Tuesday, 12 to 1. Sometimes we change the time based on our based on our guest, if they cannot be on that time. But mostly we run this webinar 12 to 1. And if any of the audience you wanted to join me within conversation like Rob did, and he saved me today, and thank you very much for joining and your prompt and your knowledge sharing. It was it was great. And I will ask our audience, if you wanted to ask us any questions, we just have another a few minutes left to answer your questions. Rob is here. If you wanted to ask him anything related to technology, please feel free to ask him. Or if you wanted to ask me anything related to access to work or work engagement or improvements, and other than anything else, please feel free to ask me, or DM me if you don't want to ask here. I'll be more than happy to guide you through to get you or signpost you to the relevant people or relevant department in your organization that they can really help you, or can engage with a conversation with your HR or with your company that, okay, you are these and you need these support, and how we can reinstate your support, or how we can get you support for you to work nicely. We are nearly end of our session, so I just wanted to ask Rob if you have any closing remarks to our audience, and if you wanted to ask anything to me.
Sorry, thank you. I thought you were going to finish a sentence. Sorry. First of all, thank you for inviting me on the stage. I wasn't expecting it, so hopefully I'll give you something useful. One thing I just read Lauren's post and question. It was like, what can I take back to a company who's willing to help and support? I think that's definitely, what you were saying is you can definitely provide some guidance on that. The challenge I don't understand is how this information is not available in the public domain. You mentioned, maybe on your website you can put this out there. Somewhere we can ask these questions, and I think there's some examples that you've given are really enlightening. I think it's been enlightening from me, and I really appreciate the comments and appreciate your feedback on this.
Thank you, Rob, and to our audience, if you wanted to ask Rob any questions, we just have 2 minutes. Please feel free to write on the comment box. Otherwise, I will just end this program. And thank you very much for your support. And we need continuous support and continuous awareness, because Rob just wanted to point you that every neurodivergent individuals are different. So sometimes it's difficult for the public sector or private sector organization to list actually what they are looking for. There is a struggle there out there. So that's why you said on your conversation earlier that talk to person they already are suffering groups and other relevant organization, they can really support you. Because when I'm working with individuals, I know maybe 200 individual instances that came to me, and I can support organization as well as individuals. Like, okay, I know that, okay, you're struggling with this. I can see common similarities with those things. So we solve this problem with these tactics. It's similar for organization and similar for individuals. So that's the right thing. If you wanted to, if you don't know actually what support you can get and what support you will need, you need to talk to someone. They understand neurodiversity, they understand disability, and they understand anything else that you wanted to seek help with. So today we are nearly end of our conversation and webinar. We will join next week at the same time, 12 to 1 with NBC. I run another couple of webinar and audio events to my regular channel, Time Research and Innovation and 𝐁𝐮𝐢𝐥𝐝 Marketing. If you wanted to know more, please follow my work and follow Rob's work if you wanted to get support from him, because he's a technologist and he can guide you through specifically. He has tons of experience and expertise. Otherwise, I will say you thank you, and Rob, thank you very much for your time today. And I will welcome you in one of my other webinar to talk about technology, because I love technology. And I will do that while we end this program to get you in one of my other webinar. But otherwise, to the audience, it was a great program today, talking to you and talking to Rob and letting you know a lot of information. I don't want it to overwhelm you with many other informations, but we will talk about individual problems and success stories through these channels all over um, this year and next year. We have planned for another 1 year, and we have speakers. If you wanted to join, feel free to contact me and DM me through LinkedIn and other social media. Thank you for your support, and see you next week with another problem and another guest. Until then, stay tuned, stay safe, and if you need your help, just seek help from the relevant person or your department or your company. Don't keep quiet, because if you keep quiet, you will not get the support you needed. So thank you, and see you next week, and bye-bye.